The carriage ride came to an end as the iron-bound wheels of the Valorian transport ground against the stone paving of the ancestral castle. I stepped out, the weight of the hidden seeker launcher in my coat feeling like a physical anchor to reality. A servant, dressed in the family's formal gray livery, bowed stiffly and gestured toward the interior. I was led through echoing corridors of cold granite and ancient tapestries until we reached the high briefing room. As the heavy oak doors creaked open, the atmosphere shifted. They were all there, the top 5. But they weren't the polished nobles I had seen at the ball. They were dressed in their battle gear, rugged leather, enchanted mithril, and cloaks stained by the dust of a dozen front lines. Darian stood at the center, his crimson hair like a flame in the dim room. "You're finally here, Aric," Darian said, his voice dropping an octave. There was no mockery, only the cold professional edge of a commander. "Sorry for the delay," I replied, my face a mask of indifference. Orion, the blonde archer, leaned against a pillar, checking the tension on a bowstring that hummed with mana. "Welcome, Aric. We're expecting to see what a man who humiliates fire mages can actually do in the field." I gave him a dry look. "Don't get your hopes up. You know I'm Mananal. I'm just here to fulfill a quota." Before anyone could reply, the side door opened. The matriarch entered. The room went silent. She walked to the center table and unrolled a massive parchment map. There was no greeting, no small talk. 3 villages, she began, her finger tapping the eastern territories. Agricultural hubs. Over the last month, people have been vanishing. First the livestock, then the farmers, now the children. No evidence, no tracks, no mana signatures left behind. It is as if they were erased from existence. I stared at the map. My engineer's brain began to overlay the geography with tactical red zones. "No evidence," I muttered. "That implies a predator with high camouflage or a spatial anomaly." The matriarch ignored me and continued. "We divide into 3 strike teams to cover the area before the next moonrise. Group 1, Darian and Orion. Group 2, Lumina and Seraphina." I held my breath. Please let me be with Orion, I thought. He's at least sane. "Group 3, the matriarch stated, her eyes cutting to the corner of the room. Kaelia and Aric." My heart sank, the worst possible variable. Kaelia stood up. She was a shadow given form, long black hair, eyes the color of fresh blood, and a curved katana strapped to her waist. She was the family's primary dark magic specialist, second only to Darian in raw lethality. She worked alone, always. "Grandmother," Kaelia's voice was like a knife on silk. "I can handle this alone. I don't need a nuisance dragging behind me. A man with 0 mana is nothing but a liability in the Scrublands." I didn't argue. She was logically correct. To her, I was an unshielded biological asset in a high-threat environment. "The decision is final," the matriarch snapped, striking her cane. "I want results, not complaints. Darian, you are the leader. Take them." We followed Darian out into the castle gardens. In the center of the courtyard stood a woman who didn't look human. She was an elf, pale, almost translucent skin, long snowy white hair, and eyes of a vibrant, startling emerald green, an albino of her race. She raised her staff, and the air began to scream. A vortex of green and white energy tore open in the middle of the garden. My eyes widened. I wasn't seeing magic. I was seeing a gravitational bypass. I analyzed the mechanism, a portal that mirrored the technology I had seen in the ruins, but this was fueled by raw organic mana. It was more stable, more powerful than anything my current tech could replicate. "First time seeing a gate, isn't it?" Orion whispered, stepping toward the swirling light. "We move," Darian commanded. The groups entered one by one. I was the last. I stopped at the edge of the event horizon, my eyes scanning the flickering mana currents. "You are interested in the weave, young man." The elf mage turned toward me. Her green eyes were ancient and kind. She smiled, as if she could see the otherworldler hidden behind my gaze. "If you seek this type of power, come to our kingdom one day. Perhaps you will find the answers you are looking for." "I intend to," I whispered. As I stepped into the swirling green light, I felt my molecules vibrate. This was the exact reason I had already decided on the Elven Kingdom as my next destination after the divorce. Their people live for centuries. If anyone has the records of the pre-collapse era or the knowledge to send a soul home, it would be them. I stumbled out onto the gray, dusty earth of the Scrublands. I quickly turned back to see the gate one last time. It was fascinating. In a single second, I had been transported across the continent. Then, with a faint hum, the portal collapsed into a spark and vanished completely. Orion adjusted his equipment, while Darian addressed the groups. "We separate now. Every day at 2000 hours sharp, we will regroup. I will communicate the meeting coordinates to everyone via telepathy." Telepathy. First instant travel, and now long-distance mental communication. Magic was truly a terrifyingly powerful force, a total bypass of the laws of physics I knew. Darian looked at me, his expression tightening. "Aric is mana null. He cannot receive telepathic messages. Kaelia, you will be responsible for telling him the coordinates each day. We move now." He didn't wait for a response. Darian and Orion vanished into the thick fog, followed quickly by Lumina and Seraphina. I turned to Kaelia, my temporary partner. She didn't even look at me. She adjusted the hilt of her katana and began to walk into the gray wasteland. "Do not get in my way," she said, her voice a cold blade in the wind. With a sudden burst of speed, she became a blur and disappeared into the gloom, leaving me standing completely alone in the silent dust of the hunting grounds. I looked at the horizon, the cold wind whipping my coat. "Well," I whispered to the empty air, "this isn't going to be easy."